The Shark Deck.
I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Joe Rogan had Punky Johnson on his February 7th episode. They started talking music, and the subject turned to Kanye West. Joe Rogan said Kanye creates some bangers, but he's also said some crazy stuff about Hitler. Rogan added, I don't think he's a bad person. I'm assuming he meant Kanye there. And I think Kanye, the mistakes he's made, he's pretty honest about it. He's mentally ill, and that mental illness allows him to have insane productivity with music. You can call it an illness, or you can say instead he's got this gift, and this gift sometimes effing shoots off live rounds in all sorts of different directions. But what it can do is produce some of the best effing music ever. His mind is like a runaway train. The ideas are coming in way fast. He'll go from one idea to the next idea, and people say he's rambling, but I'm like, buddy, is he? Or is he just fused with way more ideas than we are? You may or may not recall, Kanye was on Alex Jones' InfoWars on December 1st. Kanye said that he liked Hitler and Nazis that invented microphones and highways. Quoting Kanye here, they did good things too. We've got to stop dissing the Nazis all the time. All right. Yeah? No. Daily Comedy News is officially anti-Nazi. Hey, Tom Segura. There's a segue, Johnny Mac. How have things changed food and workout-wise since you first started comedy? This was a question asked to Tom Segura by GQ. Segura said, it's been a journey. I've been a comic for 20 years now, and I think I've done everything wrong you can do, but I've kind of morphed into doing everything right you can do. You learn that a heavy touring schedule can break you down in many ways, and if you don't take care of yourself physically, everything else kind of goes with it. When I was starting as a club act, I'd fly in and stay up in the hotel or the comedy condo until 4 a.m., and then wake up at like noon, eat some BS like fries and a burger, then try to nap and go to the club and eat like crappy mozzarella sticks or something. Been there, done that. You're in the cycle of doing that, and of course I was gaining weight. Been there, done that, and I was feeling worse physically and mentally. I didn't really start to prioritize health again until my first son was born at the end of 2015. It took a little while, but I started to tour, and I would go do cardio, and I'd feel better if I did elliptical or something. What I realized is between 2017 and 2019, I'd gained 20 pounds again. I didn't feel like I was living that mindlessly. I didn't think I was being reckless, but it was really because I was just not dialing in on details. So this time, when I saw what tour was coming up and how heavy and daunting the whole schedule was, I just needed to go through it physically in a healthy way. Tom now brings a trainer on tour. He said, there was a trainer I've known for a few years and worked with, Sean Nix. And I was like, I want you to come with me. I'm lucky because he's actually a legit professional photographer, so he's my photographer on tour too. That's awesome. It's great to have somebody like him. We're similar in age, similar in build, and I have this living example of how to do it right. We kind of like the same foods, and we like the same types of workouts. Like I got up, I had yogurt with mixed berries. We also do omelets with tomatoes and mushrooms, a little bacon, no cheese. We make protein shakes. We'll have meal bars sometimes. We basically eat the same things. I'm weighing the lowest I've weighed in almost 20 years, and it's not even because I'm like, I got to weigh this much. It's literally happening because I'm just living like this. My portions have started to decrease, and I'm not hungry. It's just that I realized how much I was overeating. I must have been overeating just every day. Sometimes now I'll order a 7 or 8 ounce filet, and I won't finish it, and it's because I'm not hungry. I will jump in there. So last year when I was training for the marathon, I eventually pulled out, long story short, but I'm planning on doing it this year. We'll talk about this some other time. I don't want to bog down on that. But I was telling people, like, you're losing weight, and I'm like, I'm just not hungry from the running. I just was less hungry, and I was having salads and smoothies, and I was just good. I wasn't on a food crusade. I wasn't dieting. I wasn't like, I must eat salads and smoothies. That was just all I wanted, and when I wasn't hungry, I didn't eat. Dropped 20 pounds. It was great. You know what happens when you stop training? You put 10 pounds back on. Oh, well, net minus 10, but I am planning on doing the race in November. We'll talk about that some other time. Tom Segura, what kind of workouts are you doing? He said, when we're on the road, we work out every day. Yesterday, we did a boxing workout. He brought mitts. We have gloves on the bus. We lift probably 4 or 5 days a week. If we don't lift, we try to do heavier cardio. A lot of the things are contingent upon the type of gym we encounter. This hotel right now has some dumbbells, a couple of machines, and some cardio stuff, so our workout caters to the equipment that exists. That's interesting. We were in a place a few weeks ago. They had one of these elaborate gyms that had squat racks and full gym equipment. Whenever we encounter those, we incorporate heavier lifting. We do squats, deadlifts, bench presses, and inclines. But when we do with barbells, you realize the difference between lifting with barbells as opposed to just cables and dumbbells. One more question. Do you cook on the bus? Tom, we don't really cook on the bus. Sometimes we'll do oatmeal with banana and we'll put protein powder into it. Or we'll do protein shakes on the bus. We have a blender. A lot of it is eating out. But we also got Piedmontese steaks. I don't know what that is. And those really go to the house. But they make these really great beef sticks that are high quality, so we have a bunch of those too. With a lot of the food, we just try to find the best place for dinner, and you're basically on a rotation of chicken, salmon, and steak. Johnny Mac, you never mentioned Marc Maron. Hey, I think on Friday's podcast, I actually did not mention Marc Maron. So there. But today, Marc Maron mentioned. Friday asked him, did you miss performing during lockdown? Maron said, I didn't miss comedy at all. I didn't do any of those weird outdoor drive-in Zoom shows. I really felt like maybe I'm over it. Maybe I'm all better and I don't need this anymore. But as soon as other people started working, the race was on. Friday asked him, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, did you feel like you wanted to weigh in? Marc said, I needed to talk about abortion without sounding over-the-top lefty crazy. What I'm saying is practical. I don't think it's political. It comes from personalizing the male experience. You can make a joke about anything, but should you? That's up to you. Are there consequences to doing certain jokes? Yes. Is it worth the risk? Again, up to you. Should you respect other people? Of course. Does that mean you can't do a joke about them? Not necessarily. There are a lot of people who are anti-woke and who believe that making jokes about marginalized people and using slang that is outdated just for effect is somehow pushing the line comedically. That's a cop-out. Do you think he means Dave Chappelle there? I'm going to go first. I do. They asked him about global warming, and he said, what makes me optimistic is I still might be out of this world before it gets really horrible. Wow, Marc. If you enjoy what I do here, go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You can throw a couple bucks in the tip jar. There are different levels. You could be like Andrea, who's in the $2 club. Just got your $2, Andrea. Thank you very much. You can do the $5 option. Kenny is a monthly subscriber. Thank you, Kenny. Much appreciated. Aaron the other day hit the $10 button. Much appreciate everyone. So buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You've heard the deal. I'm going to take your money. I'm going to go to Donut Chain. All that. You've heard that rap before. Joel McHale. He's got that new show, Animal Control. Stop calling it Animal Cops, Johnny Mac. Animal Control. Is that right? I don't have notes in front of me. I think that's right. He was doing some press for the show, spoke to the News Daily, and he said, this is definitely a weird group. I was drawn to it because the characters are so darn well drawn, and it's something we don't really see, very similar to how we never saw community colleges on TV. Are you telling me the new show is community-esque? I haven't seen it yet. I'm recording this on Thursday. It is on my list of things to watch Friday night. Planning on watching that and Picard. And there's 2 new shows on Apple I want to watch. Big TV night planned for Friday night. Joel, have you ever called animal control yourself? Joel said, honest truth, I have never called animal control. But I have captured 2 baby rattlesnakes, one in my old house and one of my neighbors across the street. I like snakes. My cousin grew up in Calabasas, California, would go in the desert and catch snakes. So all fear of snakes left. They're totally docile if they're not hungry. He was asked if there were any real animals on set, and he said, there was a real kangaroo. And we were obviously with the ostriches, right? I did learn about ostriches. Teenage ostriches are like golden retrievers. They're very happy and really interested, and they'll just walk up to you and be like, hey, what are you doing? Let's take a look at who's playing the Vancouver Comedy Festival today. Let's see, 7 o'clock, Pat Regan, Ryan Hamilton at 7, JFL Showcase at 7. Sunday night stand-up comedy, 7:30. Let's see who's there. It's a special edition of the weekly Sunday showcase of the funniest comedians in Canada. No names that you are likely to know. Pete Holmes, 8 o'clock. Becky Robinson, 9:30. Ali Makovsky at 9:30. Another showcase at 9:30 and a second version of the stand-up comedy showcase at 10. All right, let's play this out. For the early show, well, I'm going to want to see Pete Holmes at 8. What do you say we hit the JFL showcase at 7? We'll leave early. We'll walk on over to Pete Holmes at 8. Then for the late show, we can do Sunday night stand-up comedy. It's local people, and I always think that's good to see when you go to these festivals. And with 8 comedians on the bill, that'll make for a nice night show. And a serious topic here to end today's show. Comedian Ramesh Ranganathan has admitted he has regularly thought about taking his own life due to a horrific voice in his head. He was on the Diary of a CEO podcast. Ramesh is 44, and he opened up and he said, I was thinking about taking my own life regularly, and I'd fantasize about it. I think that all comedians are wired slightly differently. They've had something happen to them that has made them an outsider in some way. We lived in a nice house. We had a nice car, all the stereotypical things that you mark success with. Then in a period of 6 months, it was a complete 180. I'm addicted to doing stand-up, and it makes me better at everything. But I've got this inner voice that is horrific. It'll say, you're not a very good dad. You're not a very good husband. I had a run of about 6 panel shows. I was in a really bad place. I turned up to each one of them with the steadfast belief that I was crappy at this. He was asked, what happens when things go wrong on stage? He says, it's horrible. The silence, that never gets easier, man. But you learn from those gigs. I just need to do the best I possibly can at this gig. I'm not in control of anything that happens after that. Don't think about this goal down the line you're trying to get to. Do this thing brilliantly, and if you love what you do and you do that, you're on a good path. If you need someone to talk to, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is the United States-based suicide prevention network of over 200-plus crisis centers. They provide 24/7 service via a toll-free hotline. Just dial 988. 988, available to anyone in crisis or emotional distress. That's your comedy news for today. See you tomorrow. All right, here's the pitch. 5 stories, they're all good news. It's called 5 Good News Stories. No negative news, just good news. Nice, easy way to start your day. Hopefully a smile. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac, host of 5 Good News Stories. You get the premise? There's 5 stories, and they're all good news. So the number 5, Good News Stories. 5 Good News Stories. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.